Hello. I want to comment for a minute on a billboard that I saw a few years ago. It might still be out there, I don't know, but it had a picture of the nativity scene, and it said, it's just a story. This season, celebrate reason. And the fact is, I completely agree with that second part, that we ought to celebrate reason. Um, and it was sponsored by it was an atheist group or a free thinkers group or something like that. And strangely enough, I think that from an atheist perspective, the things that happen inside of our brains, what we would call reason, is no different at all from the arrangement of sand on the seashore or the path the lightning bolt happens to follow as it goes down, down and up through the sky as that exchange of electricity takes place. It's not really anything worth celebrating. It's no different from other natural processes, and we can't even determine that because everything is determined for us by the laws of nature. And yet there's this mystery because there is reason. The physicist Roger Penrose, in his book The Emperor's New Mind, he writes this: the quality of understanding is not something that can ever be encapsulated in a set of rules. He was building a case that understanding, the not just mere logic, but the act of understanding that's unique to humans as far as we can tell, is not something that you can even program a computer to do. There's a famous essay by Eugene Wigner, the mathematician, and the title of the essay is The Unreasonable Effectiveness of Mathematics in the Physical Sciences. And again, he talks about how strange it is that there is reason and logic and mathematics built into the universe. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't have to be that way. It's unreasonable, but we just assume it and we work with it. The fact is that Christianity has celebrated reason from the very beginning. From a book, The Bible and Science by Stanley Jockey, he says this: Augustine urged the recipient of a great letter that he had written on reason and grace working together, Epistle 120, that he should greatly love the intellect, to love this gift that God has given us and is what makes us in his image. Love of reason and respect for logic drew Augustine towards the words of the Book of Wisdom, that God arranged everything in measure, number, and weight. And that quote from the Book of Wisdom, everything according to measure and number and weight, according to reason, was a very popular quote in the Middle Ages. From the beginning, the church had been looking at what was given to her in theology and the gift, the deposit of faith, and seeing that it matched up a lot with what the ancient Greeks had found. And it was constantly, the church was constantly attracting philosophers into the church throughout. And then in the Middle Ages, people get caught up in the Middle Ages and there's a lot of bad press. A lot of things are overemphasized. A lot of things are overpublicized. And the things that we find there are really common to every society and every group in history. But the unique things is this, that it was the church in the Middle Ages where we find the university as we understand it being invented. They celebrated reason. They looked at humans and said, humans have reason and this ought to be developed. This is an important thing. And so they started educating people, offering free education to children, boys and girls alike, because everybody ought to reach the fullest potential of their intellect. It was important for them. We also see the invention of science. Science grew up in Christian Europe in the Middle Ages. It didn't develop in ancient Greece, didn't develop in ancient China, Babylon, any of those places. There, science was stillborn in every place. But it was in the fruitfulness of Christianity that science actually developed. And people say, whoa, that doesn't make any sense. Science is opposed to faith, which is not true at all. Gregor Mendel, right, the father of genetics, was a monk. The person who developed and really did the math behind the Big Bang Theory, Father George Lemaitre, was a priest, and he did lecture tours with Albert Einstein. It's not if science and the church have fought from time to time, it's only because sometimes children fight with their parents. In the whole Galileo case, there are so many myths and legends that have come up about that I'll have to do another video sometime about that. And if you look at the great thinkers of the church, people like Thomas Aquinas, anybody who reads Thomas Aquinas, if they have trouble reading him, it's not because he's so anti-reason and illogical. It's because he's so logical and he's so precise and he works through things so one step at a time, that he can be difficult to read because he's so logical. And any of the modern thinkers too, people you might be a little easier to find and read, people like G.K. Chesterton, C.S. Lewis, Mortimer Adler, people who have come to the faith as adults, intelligent people. Some other great thinkers, people who take Aquinas' work and make it a little bit more understandable for us: Etienne Gilson, Jacques Maritain, Joseph Pieper. Any of those guys, they celebrate reason. They bring reason into its fullest potential. Recently, I read something. It was from the little booklet that comes with a CD set. And the CD set was Leonard Bernstein conducting Bach's famous St. Matthew Passion. And he said this, that it was only in the breadth and depth of Christianity that Johann Sebastian Bach's genius could really flourish and expand and grow and produce the beautiful works that he did. And this is from the Catechism of the Catholic Church. Still holds this. Faith and reason working together. They're not opposed. There can never be any real discrepancy between faith and reason, since the same God who reveals mysteries and infuses faith has bestowed the light of reason on the human mind. God cannot deny himself, nor can truth ever contradict truth. It's paragraph 159 from the Catechism of the Catholic Church. And if we think about it, reason is abstract. Reason is not a physical thing. When we think about abstract, like mathematical objects, they're not physical. They don't have any concrete reality. And yet we can understand them. We can think about them. We abstract concepts from our experience. We can think about things like truth and justice and beauty that are not physical things. We see that reason is actually something that is above the physical world and outside of it. And so every time we're thinking, that's actually a miracle that's taking place, because we have this interaction from something that's above us interacting, and it's not that the mind is just the brain, and it's not that the mind is separate from the brain. Somehow we're this body-soul unity. And reason then finds its source in God. He is the very source of rationality and intellect. And he's infused that into us somehow. And so when we say celebrate reason, we're saying is celebrate God, because reason with a capital R is God. So this season we're celebrating the incarnation of reason itself, capital R, reason itself. And so by all means, this holiday season, celebrate reason. Merry Christmas.